If I do what I believe in, and I believe that we have to do what is right. Bingo.
Okay, and that's where the problem started. Your
That was
personal
Genesis.
problem.
No,
the genesis of the problem
people.
we see.
Yes.
We see today.
Today.
Not even attributed to Ogun State crisis.
No.
Not even some of the other states that we see today. Not even River State.
That was the genesis.
Not even River State.
Not even
River State. Okay, now let me ask you, with all of this that has happened in the PDP, don't you think that the walkout of the governors is a disrespect to the president, Goodluck Jonathan, who was seated at that particular convention?
If you say that, let's take it step by step.
He's the leader of the party.
I don't say no. And I've not said it was the best thing to do. But you see, the governors are institutions within the party. And when you try to demystify those institutions, you are demystifying the presidency and the leadership of the party.
How is it demystifying them?
Now, I will tell you what I mean by that. When you have staff of Mr. President insulting the governors elected on the platform of the party, you are demystifying their offices and their leadership role in the states within the party. And of course, it has a bandwagon effect.
Precisely what are you talking about here?
No, run that by me one more time.
I will ask you again for the benefit of those watching. Exactly, who are you? Who are the characters you're talking about?
Well, I will not mention names, but they know themselves. I mean, if you go somewhere, if you go out and you start insulting governors and saying governors must be disciplined, get one thing straight. The representatives of Mr. President in their states within the party are the governors.
Okay, so you mean that the leadership of the party trying to discipline or to call members of the party to order is a no-no for you?
No, that's not true. What do you mean by discipline? Discipline for what reasons?
If you see that a member of the party is not behaving, is going into some anti-party activities.
Excuse me.
How do you call such people to order?
There are rules within the party. It's only the National Executive Committee of the party that can discipline governors, members of National Assembly, and certain people within the party. And this didn't happen. The National Working Committee can only act in emergency on behalf of the National Executive Committee of the party. And even at that, there is a time frame within which this matter should be taken to the National Executive Committee of the party for ratification. For the period I was in the National Working Committee, there was only one meeting held. I mean, come on.
Okay.
That on its own.
Chief Mustafa, let me ask you,
yes, sir.
Why do you think people should believe in your faction of the PDP as against Bamanga Tuko-led leadership?
Because the train is moving. Because people are saying the way Alhaji Bamanga Tuko is running the party is not the correct way to run a party within a democratic setting. This is not African Roundtable. This is not a personal enterprise of any individual.
So breaking the party is the best way to go about it?
Nobody has said breaking the party.
But you have created a faction of the party.
People have made their grievances known and I repeat, there are efforts by elders within the party to settle this crisis,
of which have not yielded any result.
You can't say that yet.
We've seen that happen.
How can you say that?
The meeting that former President Obasanjo with four other members of the BOT held in Abuja still ended in a stalemate.
No, they were not four members of the BOT.
Or members of the BOT.
They were former chairman of the party.
Well, but it ended in stalemate.
Who has said that? Have you seen the report of the committee?
That is what President Obasanjo said. Former President Obasanjo, that's what he said.
Well, I'm sorry.
He said that has not brought to the end of the negotiation. They are still going to talk.
Yes,
more.
and when you say you are still going to talk, I mean, you cannot end a crisis like that with one meeting and in one day. Come on, there are very fundamental issues. If
you look at some of the demands that are reportedly asked by your faction, that's why I'm choosing my words carefully. Don't you think that is way too far, considering the other divide?
I have not seen officially, and I have not been privy to any demands being made.
So what would you think is the major demand of your faction in this?
Well, I leave that to the leadership of the faction.
Well, you are here to tell us, educate us. Could you tell us?
But you see, I can't. You can't give what you don't have.
It's reported that your party, your faction wants Bamanga Tuko to leave. They want Amechi's NGF mandate to stay. They want Amechi's suspension to be lifted. They want the national convention that millions of naira were spent on to be buried, and they want a new convention, and also they want to discuss Jonathan and 2015 ambition. Those are the reported demands.
You see, these reported demands I have not been privy to. And I cannot comment on what I have not been personally.
Could there be any iota of truth in all of this?
I wouldn't know.
Oh, of course, you've mentioned that Alhaji Bamanga Tuko is one target of your faction.
It's not a target. All we're saying is that he has been running the party like a fiefdom.
So, but you will like him to leave?
I haven't said that.
But what do you want the solution to look like?
The solution?
Yeah.
I will leave the solution to the crisis management mechanisms that the elders of the party are going to put in place.
Seems to be former President Obasanjo warned that this seems to be a crisis, one too many, that may break up the PDP that we have seen in the last 14 years come strong and the biggest on the continent. What do you make of that?
It must, you see, he sees more than you and I can see. He knows more than you and I knows. And he has enough experience to know. You see, in Yoruba language, they say that when a little child is trying to fell a tree in the forest, the older person or the older man knows exactly in what direction that tree is going to fall. Now, he must have his reasons for saying that. And it should not be taken or treated with levity.
To mean that the party may be at the brink of collapse.
Yeah, but I said it earlier on, I said it's unfortunate that for the first time, this is the third time that we're going to have democratic tendencies in this country, and we're going to have a ruling party, and for the first time, a ruling party has been balkanized or is going through this process of balkanization, and nobody is taking it seriously.
All right, let me, on a final note, just before we've reached the home stretch of the program now, but before you go, final word, tell me, would your faction bow out? Will you blink first in this particular fight?
Can I tell you something tonight?
Please do.
We all have a resolve. We carry our drugs, those of us who have high cholesterol, etc., we carry enough drugs that will last us 1 month in case we have to be locked up. But this is about democracy. We are not in an Abacha regime that a national chairman, since when did Alhaji Bamanga Tuko become the commander-in-chief that he will tell the security agencies to seal up an office, and it was sealed up?
Well, do you have information if he was the one that sealed it up?
But
that's an attack on his personality.
No. It's not an attack on his personality because, excuse me, he held a press conference and he called on security agencies, right, to do certain things. And we are seeing them happen.
If he said that, does it amount to the fact that he was the one that said, go and look?
Come on, give me a break now. You don't need rock science to know that. If a man, I mean, in my language they say, yesterday, right, the witch cries and the child dies today.
All right, let me ask you, are you going to bow to, if you are asked, your faction asked to blink in this matter, would you blink?
I will leave that to the leadership of this faction.
Thank you so much, Chief Mustafa, for joining us on the program. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And we've reached the home stretch on this episode of Politics Today on Channels Television. It's been about 1 hour of intense debate on the issues concerning politics in Nigeria. It's getting hotter by the day, and we hope that one way or the other, this will lead to a better democracy and better life for all Nigerians. For all of the crew here at Channels Television bringing this show to Fusion today, I say thank you. Till next week when we come your way, I'm Sheung Okimbaloye. Keep talking politics. Bye for now.
A time comes in the life of every race when people are driven by echoes of the past to chart a course for an exalted future. Africa is at this threshold as major actors in the Africa arena plot a renaissance towards common destiny. Let's pedal across the streams of yesterday from the backstreets of Africa to the defining roles of policymakers, the political realities of the African nation, balance of